Okay, so learning theories are basically the frameworks that describe how information is absorbed, processed, and retained during learning. There are a lot of different factors that influence learning, and of course, a lot of different learning theories on how people learn. It's especially important as a teacher in the classroom to understand these theories. I will be looking at the information processing theory, the constructivism learning theory, the social cognitive learning theory, and behaviorism. I will first start off with the information processing theory. The information processing theory of learning says that information from the world around us moves from sensory storage to working memory to long-term memory. It focuses on how information enters, is stored, and is retrieved from the memory of an individual. This theory says that learning occurs when information is transferred into long-term memory. Information can be transferred into long-term memory through encoding. I'm going to use the example of Kayla in a third grade class. Kayla is walking into her third grade class, and her teacher, Mrs. Lacey, uses the information processing approach to teaching. To begin this process, Mrs. Lacey must first gain Kayla's attention. She can do this by maybe using cues to signal when she is ready to begin, like flickering the lights or even maybe just saying, "Good morning, everyone, it's time to begin." Then Mrs. Lacey must bring to mind prior learning. She can start off class reviewing the previous day's lesson. When she's reviewing, she will present the information in an organized manner. There will be a logical sequence to the concepts. She will also present related information in categories. When she is starting to finish up reviewing, she will connect what they just learned when they just went over to the new topic they are learning for that day. For the students to really understand and remember today's lesson, Mrs. Lacey has made a silly little sentence that the first letter of every word relates to this new topic. She will keep repeating what she has taught the students in several different ways. She might start with the acronym, then have the kids write down the acronym and draw a picture of it, then have them turn to a partner and discuss, and then at the end of the day, all the students will come together to play a quick game of trivia to finish out the day. Through all of these activities, hopefully the lesson has moved from Kayla's short-term memory to her long-term memory. Next, I'm going to move on to the constructivism theory of learning. In the constructivism theory of learning, people construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things and reflecting on those experiences. When we encounter something new, we have to reconcile the creators of our own knowledge. To do this, we must ask questions, explore, and assess what we know. I'm going to use an example of a high school science class. Annie and Shannon are in Mrs. Armstrong's science class and are discussing a problem in physics. Though Mrs. Armstrong knows the answer to the problem, she focuses on helping Annie and Shannon restate their question in useful ways. She prompts Annie and Shannon to reflect on and examine their current knowledge. When Annie comes up with a relevant concept, Mrs. Armstrong seizes upon it and indicates to Shannon and Annie to keep exploring what Annie had just brought up. They design and perform relevant experiments. Afterward, Mrs. Armstrong, Annie, and Shannon talk about what they have learned and how their observations and experiments helped or did not help them better understand the concept. Now I'm going to move on to the social cognitive theory of learning. According to the social cognitive theory of learning, classroom learning is shaped by the factors within the academic environment, especially the reinforcers experienced by the students and other students in the classroom. At the same time, learning is affected by students' own thoughts and self-beliefs and interpretations of the classroom context. I'm going to use the example of a kindergarten classroom. So Mrs. O'Hara is using this technique to teach her kindergarten class how to appropriately have a conversation. Audrey, a very anxious 5-year-old, has been having trouble knowing when it is her turn to speak. She has been noticing that Audrey does not understand that having a conversation is a two-way street. Audrey needs to learn that you must be patient and listen to others every now and then. Mrs. O'Hara is showing Audrey this by telling the students telling the students that no one else should talk when the teacher is talking, and that you must raise your hand when you have to say something. Through watching other students get to share their ideas when they sat quietly and raised their hand, Audrey learned how to stay on topic, make appropriate comments during the conversation, and understand how to initiate, maintain, and end a conversation. Audrey also learned a form of nonverbal communication from Mrs. O'Hara. Audrey learned that when Mrs. O'Hara gave her a thumbs up, that meant good job, and when she held her finger to her lips, that meant to be quiet. Now I'm going to move on to behaviorism. So behaviorism assumes that a learner is essentially passive and is just responding to stimuli in the environment. It says that the learner starts out with a clean slate, and behavior is shaped by positive and negative reinforcement. Reinforcement, both positive and negative, increases the possibility of an event happening again, while punishment, both positive and negative, decreases the possibility of an event happening again. One aspect of behaviors and theories is classical conditioning. This occurs in the classroom in many different ways. One way in which this occurs is when a college professor walks into the room and goes up to the front of the board and pulls down the projector. Many students will take out a notebook or a laptop because they've learned that means that they have to take notes. Another one could be if a teacher says pop quiz, students could start sweating and acting nervous because that is what their body has learned to do when the teacher says pop quiz. It's not something you can control, it just happens. So these are just 4 out of hundreds of learning theories. All of these theories can help assist a teacher in finding the best way to effectively teach their students. Without knowing these, it could make for a very hectic classroom, so it's very important to learn these before stepping into a classroom to teach. Thank you.